Welcome to lesson 1, overview of supply chain. In this lesson, we'll cover overview of supply chain, key components of a supply chain, benefits of effective supply chain management. And let's jump into it. First of all, let's establish what supply chain is. A supply chain is a network of organizations, activities, resources, and processes involved in the creation and delivery of products or services to end customers. This is in a business environment. As in business environment, we have product or we have services. And product and services are created or they are manufactured to reach out to customers. And so either manufacturing companies or industry produce a particular product to reach out to end users, which are the customers. Or it could be a unique service that you have created to offer to customers. In order to produce or create a particular product or service and then get it to the end user, which is the customer or the customers, that is the process. That requires a network. It requires different organizations taking different role at different points. So think about you, for instance, as a customer going to purchase television in the store. Where you go to purchase the television is not where the television was manufactured. The television was manufactured somewhere else by an entity or a company that involves in manufacturing. And so they manufactured it. That same company may not be the one that brought it into your country. So you have another person who is a supplier who goes and bring it into your country. That person who is a supplier is also not the owner of the plane where the item came through, or the ship where the item came through, or the vehicle that the item came through, or the car, whatever means of transport, either by air, by road, or by sea. And so the supplier goes to buy and then put it on another ship, or whatever the means they used for transport, to get it closer to a shop or a store where they can put it. Okay, so you have different organizations playing different role, and the purpose is to make sure that they have products or services delivered to customers, end users. That will enable you go into the store and ask for television without knowing or without even asking to know where the television came from, how it was manufactured. You don't even care to know that. That is because you are the end user and your concern is to buy what you want. And so supply chain is basically about that chain, that connection, that network of organizations, activities, resources, and processes involved in creating or manufacturing products or services and then delivering these products and services to the end users or the customers at the end. And so like I mentioned, you go into the store and you ask for television without knowing where the television came from, without knowing who manufactured the television, without knowing the processes involved in manufacturing. You don't even care to know that. It is not even your concern either. You just want to get what you want, and the supplier gives that to you, and that's it. But before you received it, before the television came into your country or very close to where you are, there are processes or there are different activities that have gone through. One, there are connections between different organizations coming from the manufacturer, coming from the distributor, the supplier, the retailer, and even talking about the logistics aspect of it, and even looking at the technology and all that. And then there are activities involved, activities which has to do with the process of producing, or the different operations or the different work that we do to produce the product or service. Then we have resources that we invest. What are the resources? Human. There are people involved in the production. So people will be involved in producing the television. People will also be involved in producing the service that you're offering. And then as part of the resources, you have materials. You will have to use raw materials. to produce. Take for instance the television. What make up that television is raw material that is bought and assembled to produce a television. Then you got processes. There are processes involved in producing television. So it's not just that the television is made and it automatically can show and we watch what we want to watch. There are processes involved in producing a television from the raw material that we actually have. So manufacturing companies have to go through these processes. And once they do that, they don't have the power to reach to us as customers to buy. So they pass through supplier who will go to them, take it from them, bring it closer through logistics, transportation, and then get it into a store, warehouse. And then from there, you are now able to access the item or product or service that you need, and you are able to purchase or buy from a supplier or a distributor, and you are the end user. So that is supply chain. And this is a very great aspect of every business. And so, because business, we're involved with producing, we're involved with rendering services. It's either that you are not producing, but you are actually involved with supplying. You could be that you are not producing, but you are into retailing. So you purchase from someone who is a supplier and you retail to other customers who are very far. Take for instance, you procure item in one city and you move to certain maybe rural areas to now sell it in retail. That is also another form of supply chain. You are helping to ensure that products and services are accessible to people in that locality. And so you are helping to release the stress. But remember, it came from somewhere. Manufacturing, it came down to supplier, it came through logistics, transportation, and then it came through all the way. So all of these things, the network of different organizations involved is what we call supply chain. Now, supply chain actually looks at the flow of information, the flow of goods and funds from the raw material stage to the final product or service consumption. So, supply chain is basically looking at goods, information, or funds from raw material to finished product and also consume. So, how do we take the product from raw material? I talk about the television. The raw material, which are the ions and other things that make up the television, it's a raw material. It's not yet a television. So we use the raw material and then we produce it as manufacturing company, produce the raw material into a television. And that television must be consumed, must be bought, must be purchased by an individual entity that will use it. Okay. And so you go there and you buy and use it. So that is basically about supply chain. It looks at how goods, information, funds are transformed into finished product and also can be consumed by customers. Now, the goal of supply chain management is to optimize this flow, ensuring effective and efficient operations while meeting customer demands and maximizing cost. What is the goal of supply chain management? The goal of supply chain management is to ensure that we are able to produce and provide goods and services to consumers effectively and efficiently. The process, the operations, the work we do, we are able to ensure that we finish and that they are accessible to customers. And at the same time, we are minimizing cost. We are not using too much money. We are saving cost, and at the same time, we are meeting customer needs. So what is supply chain then? Supply chain is looking at the connection of different firms, organizations to meet the demand of customers. While supply chain management is that process or that management of operations, management of the different flow of goods, information, and funds to ensure that we meet customer demands, customer needs, and we are also able to minimize cost of production and maximize profit. Of course, the ultimate goal of supply chain is not to maximize profit, instead, is to meet customers' demands, is to meet customers' need. Because when you meet customer need or you meet customers' demand, you are able to make money. You're able to make money from the production, you're able to make money from the sales and all that kind of thing. So in business, there's something called value. Value is what you give out. Value is the solution. Value is the solution to the problem that a customer has. So if you have a product that can solve the customer problem, the customer believes in that value because your product is producing or providing a value, or you're giving out unique value to a customer through your product or service. So that product or service you are using is the value to your customer. And that is why the customer paid for. The customer buy the value that you are giving. That is the solution to their problem. That is the goal of supply chain. The goal of supply chain management is to ensure that we manage every aspect of our business to meet customers' need and deliver on the value that we want for our customers. Now let's explore the key components of a supply chain. There are unique components that we need to understand as we are studying supply chain procurement and contract management. So first of all, let's know that there are key players within the supply chain, and these are key components that we need to understand. Number one, suppliers. Suppliers are organizations or individuals that provide raw materials, components, or services needed for the production of goods or delivery of services. So when we talk about suppliers, who are we talking about? Suppliers could be organizations, it could be companies, it could be friends, or even individuals having to that provide raw materials. Raw materials are unfinished goods. These are things that have no value attached. So there is no value attached to it because it is a raw material. It has not undergone any manufacturing. It has not undergone any refinery. It has not undergone any changes or any improvement. So it is a raw material. So there are companies or organizations or individuals involved in producing raw materials and providing it to companies that involve into manufacturing. So you could also look at the production of goods or delivery of services. So these are suppliers, individuals or organizations that involve with supplying raw material, components, and other services to ensure that the production of goods and delivery of services. Number two, procurement. Procurement is one component of supply chain, and the procurement is basically looking at the process of sourcing, selecting, and acquiring the necessary inputs for the supply chain, including negotiating contracts and managing supplier relationships. Now, procurement is sourcing. When we talk about sourcing, it's about identifying vendors who can meet your need, who can meet the need of your company. If the company is into manufacturing, who can meet the need of that company looks at suppliers who can provide you the raw materials that you need. Now, these are resources. We call them inputs. Okay? So you first need to identify the suppliers who can meet the need or who can provide you what you need. Then you can do your selection, evaluation and selection of the supplier, and you can now purchase or acquire the necessary resources from them. And when we talk about necessary inputs, we're looking at the raw materials, the components, and other resources that you need in order to produce particular goods or services. And then you have negotiating contract is also part of procurement. And as we do sourcing, as we select the vendor, we also acquire the good. Then we negotiate. Okay, we negotiate in terms of pricing, in terms of quality standard, in terms of delivery and all that. So we negotiate with suppliers on what we need. Then we now manage supply relationships. Managing supply relationships, working with suppliers to ensure that they deliver goods on time, at the right quantity, at the right quality, at the right price. And I mean, these are the right components, okay, that we need to look at. So that is procurement aspect of the supply chain. Then another aspect of supply chain now moves to manufacturing or production. So once we have actually do the procurement of our raw materials from suppliers, we now need to produce or manufacture. So the conversion of raw materials and components into finished products through various manufacturing processes. That is what we call manufacturing or production. So when you produce, it means you are converting. It means you are changing a raw material to something like a finished product that can be used. Again, as I said, a raw material has no value. Instead, it has just a raw value. When we transform the raw material into finished product, we add new value to it. There is a value added to it. And then when the supplier goes to purchase from the manufacturer and brings it into a country, that is another value added. That value of bringing it closer to you is also a value. And then you purchase from that supplier. So you are paying, you are as a customer, you are paying the person who supplied the raw materials. You are also paying the person who manufactured or produced it. You are also paying the supplier who brought it closer to you, or even the retailer who is selling it very close to you, who purchased it from a wholesaler. So you see, manufacturing or production is basically one of the cardinal components of supply chain. Then another component is the warehousing and inventory management. Remember, when we produce or when we manufacture, we need to store. We need to store the goods into a warehouse in order to now dispatch to different locations, shipment to different locations on demand, based on purchase or based on order. So we need to make sure that there is a warehousing, especially for those who are involved in manufacturing. Even for suppliers who go and purchase from manufacturer, they also need to arrange for warehousing where they can be able to put in stock, to have stock in, so that they'll be able to meet the demand of their customers. Think about where a consumer comes to purchase from you and you say, and you tell them that we are out of stock. It's quite frustrating, and a lot of people do not want to be out of stock. They want to access it anytime at any place. So you as a business person, you get to lose money when you tell people I'm out of stock, because they're going to look for another solution. So how do we make sure that there's enough space or warehousing, ensuring that we are able to meet the demand of our customers? That's inventory management. So inventory warehousing looks at the storage and management of inventory. Inventory is looking about stock. Okay, this could include coordination of inbound and outbound shipments. It could look at order fulfillment. Order fulfillment is where a supplier put in an order to the manufacturing company and say, we want to purchase this and that, and then you are able to fulfill that order in terms of the quantity, right? And then you have inventory control. Inventory control is where you are able to make sure that you meet the demand of all the different suppliers. Okay, you are manufacturing and you may have different suppliers who will be ordering. So you need to make sure you manage your inventory, your stock, so that you can meet all of them needs if possible. Now, let's explore more. Another component within supply chain management is transportation and logistics. This is very critical because everything we produce must be transported across different communities, different countries, that will be able to reach out to customers. Remember, the purpose of supply chain is to ensure that the finished product, which comes from raw material to finished product, is transferred or is delivered to their customers. So that is the purpose of supply chain. So you can produce it, that's one component. You can transform the raw material into finished product, that's production or manufacturing. Good. But you need to make sure that the goods you have produced can reach to customers for purchase or for consumption. The movement of goods from one location to another is transportation or logistics. This includes transportation mode selection. It has to do with how you select your transportation mode. There are different means of transportation mode, including air, sea, or road. You can use different these roads. You got routing, you have freight management, customs clearing, and delivery to customers. So all of these processes are involved in transportation. Of course, when you're transporting water by air, by road, by sea, you have to do a lot in terms of documentation that you need to meet some legal requirements, okay, with customs and all that kind of thing. So transportation is critical. Distribution. Now, when we supply or when we transport the goods to the location we want it to be, it has to be distributed. Again, we probably have put it in a space, and we need to distribute those goods to consumers, okay, or delivering it to different locations or different centers in our region or in our areas. So distribution has to do with the process of delivering products from warehouses or distribution centers to end customers. Okay, so distribution is where we take it from warehouses or our distribution center to deliver it to customers. This could include order processing. So if customer put in their order, you're able to process their order. It could be picking, okay, where customers come and pick up their order. It could be packing. It could be last mile delivery. So all of these are critical processes that involve in distribution, and you need to consider this key component in the supply chain. Another component we need to look at is information systems. Remember, one of the strength of supply chain is information, access to information, communication, because communication, collaboration, and coordination is critical when it comes to supply chain. The supply chain cannot work in the absence of information sharing. So if there is no information system put in place to ensure that we are able to communicate at every step of the way, then it's going to be a problem. Think about you putting an order and there is no communication channel between you and the manufacturer. How are you going to get updates on the process, how far it has gone? In fact, even when there is shipment, for instance, and they are shipping it into your location, how are you going to track to know that my goods will be arriving in 2 months, in 1 month, or in 2 weeks? How do you determine that? You use information systems like technology that have been built in order to track your goods, and so you can remain right in your own country and track it and know as it is landing at different locations, you're able to track it. So over time, a lot of technologies have evolved and improved the process of supply chain. And so there are a lot of systems or software that are available to help us in this process. So the technologies and systems used to capture, process, and share information across the supply chain. When we're talking about across the supply chain, we're talking about the different players within the supply chain: manufacturer, the logistics and transportation, the warehousing, the supplier in the between, distribution. All the different players within the supply chain should be able to get information across board on the processes involved, so that there is no issue along the way. So enabling coordination and collaboration among different stakeholders in the supply chain will really optimize the process, and it's going to create more trust, and it's going to also help you meet customers' demands at the appropriate time based on their requests. Then we also have demand planning and forecasting. In procurement, in supply chain, you need to plan, or you need to forecast demand. You need to plan for demand. And this has to do with estimating customer demand, future customer demand. So you need to do a lot around, you need to use data. Okay, you need to look at your customer flow, you need to look at your purchase level, and you need to forecast or project the demand level for a particular product. That will inform you on how you can meet the demand of different customers that are actually putting in their order. So demand planning and forecasting has to do with estimating future customer demand to facilitate production planning. So when you do demand planning and forecasting, you are able to tell the quantity level at which you need to produce to meet the demand of your suppliers or to meet the demand of your customers. This could be looking at how you're going to produce. All right, you can now do your production planning, where you're going to increase production if it requires that, because you've done your analysis, you've looked at the data, you see that there's increased customer. There are a lot of people who are willing to purchase from you based on the quantity you're providing and all that. So you use real-time data to inform you on the production. Then you look at inventory management. How are you going to make sure that you have enough goods available in stock, so that customers will always be able to access in as much as they want? And then you also have order fulfillment. Order fulfillment is where you are able to meet the order of the customer at the appropriate time, at the right quantity in order. So there are far rights in procurement or supply chain management that we need to have a considerable look at what we are discussing here. Okay, as part of the components of the supply chain management, we have customer relationship management, CRM. Customer relationship management is very critical, because everything we do in the supply chain ends with customer. So it starts with customer and ends with customer. The reason we produce is for customer. The reason we supply is for customer. The reason you transport is for customer. The reason you distribute is for customer. The reason you do warehousing, everything within the production line all the way is the customer. So customer relationship management is extremely critical, because if we satisfy the customer or we meet the customer's needs, we are able to enhance customer satisfaction. And if our customers are satisfied, then the supply chain will move on, because they will put in more order, because they will be able to purchase more from us, and that's how we'll produce more and make more money. So customer satisfaction is critical in every business practice. And as such, you need to work hard to meet the demand of your customers, to meet the needs of your customers, so that you will be able to satisfy them, to increase their collaboration with you, increase their trust for you, and also build that long-term relationships that will make sure that customers are loyal to you and you always. In fact, they are going to also drive sale, because they're going to be encouraging lots of other people to purchase from you as a result of that. So customer relationship management cannot be overlooked in any business practice. As such, the customer is the foundation of the business. Then you have reverse logistics. Reverse logistics is actually the management of product returns. So in supply chain, there are instances where you put in your order and then the goods arrive. But then you have some issues with some of the items. There could be factory fault. Okay, during manufacturing, there could be factory fault. Of course, there are human being and machines working. So human being could made mistake in programming the machine, and they will produce something else, and they may not notice it because of the kind of the level of production they are doing. So they are not able to check every item one at a time to ensure that they meet the quality standard. However, it's important to note that when you receive your item as a supplier, for instance, you need to inspect it very well to ensure that it is what you actually needed. And if so, there should be some arrangement when it comes to returning a particular goods that you have found that there's a factory fault. So you can return it to the factory, and the factory can replace that, and then be able to work on the issue that they have identified on that particular issue, on that particular stuff. And sometimes a reverse logistic will include repairs. So maybe there's a damage that requires a repair, or it could be recycling. Okay, that it has been used over a period of time, and the lifespan has expired and all that. So we can send it back to recycle and then bring it into the market. Or it could be disposal. Disposal is looking at how do we sell it out. Okay, so other people who need it, we no longer need it. So this is where the good or the particular product depreciates over a period of time, where it kind of depreciate over a period of time, and the value has decreased, and so we are just kind of giving it out. There's something called amortization, where a particular commodity can lose its original value. And in fact, once you purchase anything in a day and you've paid for it and you get it out, it has actually lost its original value. And so you start to check to know the amortization period for that particular commodity, so you'll be able to clearly project in terms of when the value is going to depreciate. And so you can dispose it in terms of, you can sell it over, but you're not going to sell it the same price you bought it, because the value has actually decreased. So you also look at handling of defective or unwanted products. So you need to look at how do you handle defective or unwanted products. So those ones that do not meet your requirements and all that. So you need to look at that return logistics. Is very critical as well. Then we look at performance measurement and analysis. This is very critical. It is monitoring and evaluation. So monitoring and evaluation play a major role in the supply chain process, as we need to make sure that we monitor and evaluate the entire process to measure performance of the different players within the supply chain. So you want to measure the performance of manufacturing, performance of logistics, performance of suppliers, performance of distributor, performance of all the different players within the supply chain. So in the monitoring and evaluation of the key performance indicators, so we need to come up with a key performance indicator, looking at, for example, delivery time, meeting the customer's need, meeting the quantity, meeting the quality standards, and all these different key performance indicators that we are going to set. And this will help us know how to assess or make judgment on the process in terms of how efficient, how well did we use resources to achieve the needed results or to produce the needed atom, and how well did we do this in terms of our effectiveness, how effective was the process. And we want to look at the overall performance of the supply chain, taking it from manufacturer, supplier, looking at the players of a retailer, wholesaler, distributor, and all the different players in the supply chain, logistics as well. So we need to rate in terms of the performance. And the purpose of monitoring evaluation in the supply chain process is to identify progress, and also see issues or identify gaps, problems that we encountered, and how to improve in the next activity. And that is very critical, because as a business, you need to continually improve to deliver improved value to customers. And every time you got to improve on your product, you got to improve on your service, so that you will be able to deliver value to future customers, and even the customers who are benefited from your particular service. So now let's exploit on the benefits of effective supply chain management. Supply chain management deliver huge benefit to any business. Number one, cost reduction. With effective supply chain or efficient supply chain management, we can actually lead to cost savings through improved inventory control, streamlined processes, optimized transportation, and reduce waste. Think about producing bulk of items that are not needed in the market. Think about producing items that are not required by customers. Customers do not need it. And at the end of the day, they are no longer interested in purchasing it at the original price. What may happen? Because you want the goods to go, or you want to sell it very fast, you reduce the price. You may lose in the process. So cost savings is very critical in the entire supply chain process. For us to make sure that we benefit from our production and all that, we need to effectively manage supply chain, efficiently manage supply chain. That will enable us save costs or reduce costs on production, while also being able to deliver value to our customers. We need to have increased customer satisfaction. Supply chain management helps us to increase customer satisfaction. A well-managed supply chain ensures timely delivery. Very important. So customers can have a timely delivery, okay, which will make sure that customers are satisfied. Whenever they need it, the time they need it, you are able to deliver it. It will increase trust. It will increase reliability. It will increase credibility. So customers' loyalty will also increase. And then you have product availability. Think about a customer that wants to buy certain thing and you say it's out of stock. That customer is frustrated. That customer is thinking of where to get it from. And you might lose that customer just by telling them it's out of stock, especially without promising them about, or without giving them a definite time frame where they'll be able to access, or they'll be able to get the product that they need. So product availability is critical when it comes to when it comes to supply chain. And so that's one of the benefits. When you effectively and efficiently manage supply chain, you're able to produce or make available the product to customers. And then responsiveness to customers' needs. You're also able to meet customer needs because you are using data, you are doing research, you are trying to be very curious and understanding issues that you will be able to help identify a customer's needs and meet that need. You're also able to enhance customer satisfaction and loyalty. So customer will be loyal to you. They will be able to stick with you because you can meet their delivery time. You are also able to make available whenever they need it. You're able to supply at the quantity, at the right price, at the right place. Everything is set. It's okay. So based on their experiences purchasing from you, they would just want to always purchase from you due to the excellent customer service that you provide. Then we have enhanced efficiency and productivity. With effective supply chain management, we can be able to enable streamlined operations, meaning we can do our operations in a structured way, efficient and productive way. We can reduce what we call lead times, okay? So we are able to reduce lead time to wasting of time. We can use maximal resources and ensure that we achieve the results. We can improve resource utilization. In terms of people, we are able to manage human resources to achieve the project or the production goal. And we can also utilize materials We are not wasting the materials. We are utilizing the materials to produce what is required. And we also can utilize equipment. Those equipment that we are using to produce. Of course, you have equipment, a lot of machines that you are using to produce as a producer or manufacturer. So you need to utilize the different resources that you have available to yourself. And then on the overall, we can increase our productivity where we are able to produce more and meet customer demand, and we can make a lot of profit based on that. Then you have competitive advantage. With effective supply chain, you gain advantage in the competition. Okay, remember in business it's about competition. You are competing with others. Okay, so in order to be in at the advantage of the competition, you need to meet customer need, you need to meet customer satisfaction, customer service, fast response time, customer satisfaction. I mean, you have to be up top of the game, ensuring that you're meeting customer need, delivering on time. Just think about it. You need a well optimized supply chain that can help you have competitive edge by providing superior customer service, excellent customer service. And you need also fast response time. One of the things that can help boost your customer service is response. You are able to respond to customers' questions at the time they need it. Okay, you need to be very responsive, and that will require you having people who can take care of that issue of marketing or even the issue of customer service that will be able to respond to customers even when they need it at the right time. So being fast in responding can really help you gain competitive advantage. Then you need to also look at competitors, cost advantages over your competitors. When you are able to reduce cost on production, it helps to keep your price at a minimum rate or the most affordable rate for your customers. That means you will not always have to increase price and other things, except for external factors that may influence that. Then we also look at risk mitigation. So with supply chain management involves identifying and managing risks. Okay, we can also look at risks of supply disruptions. We can look at quality issues. Of course, there are quality issues. We can look at compliance violations, complying with legal standards and all that. We can also look at continuity and reliance. So with supply chain management, we can manage these critical risks when it comes to a supply chain. Supply chain management can help us to collaborate and integrate. So here we can promote collaboration and integration among suppliers, manufacturers, distributors, customers, and fostering effective and efficient communication among different stakeholders in the supply chain. Sustainability and social responsibility. Of course, the entire world is looking at how can we be sustainable, how to improve sustainability. So some of the issues you need to look at when it comes to sustainability, we'll look at responsible sourcing. You're able to do responsible sourcing in that you're able to source from the right vendor and the right suppliers and all that. You also need to look at waste reduction so that you reduce waste, okay, because it has effect on the environment. Then you have energy efficiency, the use of power. And then you look at ethical considerations when it comes to supply chain management. In conclusion, supply chain management is a complex and dynamic field that requires effective coordination, strategic planning, and continuous improvement to achieve operational excellence and deliver value to customers. In all, supply chain focus is basically looking at how do we transform raw materials into finished product and ensure that we are able to deliver it to customers on time in the right quantity, at the right price, at the right place, and all that. Thanks for completing this lesson.